Hey everybody, welcome to Low Zone 23. One of the biggest criticisms of GTA 4 has always been its driving. Some people love it, others absolutely hate it. But after hundreds of hours behind the wheel, I've learned that most people aren't actually driving the cars the way GTA 4 expects you to. So today, I'd like to share a few things that completely changed the way I drive in Liberty City. I guess my love for driving games started a long time ago. As a kid, I used to play the original Driver with my dad. His favorite thing to do was a game mode called Getaway. The goal was simple: lose the cops as quickly as possible and try to beat your best time. Ever since then, I've loved car chases in games and movies. The idea of being a getaway driver, the one responsible for getting everyone out safely, has always fascinated me. Maybe that's why I've spent so much time learning how GTA 4's driving really works. I've noticed there are plenty of videos debating whether GTA 4's driving is good or bad, but very few actually explain how to become better at it. That's what this video is about, so let's just start with something simple. Before we even get behind the wheel, there's one setting I highly recommend changing. This goes for both console and PC players. In GTA 4, the handbrake cam causes the camera to quickly rotate around your vehicle whenever you use the handbrake. While this may look cinematic, many players find it disorienting and it often leads to unnecessary crashes. Turning it off gives you a much more stable view of the road, making it easier to anticipate what's ahead and maintain control of your vehicle. This next tip is especially useful if you enjoy playing GTA 4 in a more realistic and immersive way. When you're waiting at a red light, traffic behind you will eventually try to overtake if they think you're not moving. Instead of sitting completely still, gently tap the accelerator and let your car creep forward just a few inches every couple of seconds. The movement is enough to tell the AI that you're still in motion, making the cars behind you much less likely to overtake. Simply revving the engine isn't enough. Your car actually has to move forward, even if it's just only a tiny bit. This tip is specifically for controller players. I'm using a PS5 controller and this might sound a little weird, but I use my middle finger on R2 for the throttle and my index finger on R1 for the handbrake. It takes some time getting used to, but this means I never have to take my thumb off the right analog stick to press X for the handbrake. I can keep controlling the camera while accelerating, braking and using the handbrake, which makes it much easier to look in the corners and anticipate what's coming. It felt pretty awkward at first, but now I can't imagine driving any other way. Of course, this all comes down to personal preference, but if you've never tried it before, it might be worth giving a shot. One of the best driving habits you can develop is learning to look further ahead. Try not to focus on the road directly in front of your vehicle. Instead, keep your eyes moving and scan the road in the distance. The earlier you notice what's coming, the smoother and more controlled your driving will become. In this situation, I wasn't sure whether the car in front of me was going to continue straight or turn left. If it had turned left, it would have blocked my path. Luckily, the sidewalk was clear of pedestrians, allowing me to safely drive around it. Reading the traffic isn't just about watching other cars, it's also about reading the environment around them. Pay attention to traffic lights ahead. If a light has been green for a while, there's always a chance it'll change before you reach the intersection. The same goes for a red light. Sometimes you can anticipate it turning green before you get there, which means you don't necessarily have to come to a complete stop. The more you pay attention to these patterns, the easier it becomes to plan your next move instead of reacting at the last second. Pay attention to the turn signals of other cars. They can give you an early warning that a vehicle is about to turn or change direction. But don't rely on them completely. Some drivers will turn without indicating, stop unexpectedly, or suddenly move into your path. If something ahead doesn't look right, don't be afraid to simply let off the throttle. You don't always have to brake. Just lifting off the throttle gives you more time to read the situation and makes the car easier to control if you suddenly need to change direction. Sometimes, slowing down before you know what's going to happen is better than braking after it's already happened. Traffic isn't the only thing you need to keep an eye on. The road itself can be just as unpredictable. Liberty City streets are full of potholes, bumps, and uneven surfaces, and hitting one at high speed can easily throw a car off balance. Try to look beyond the traffic and pay attention to the condition of the road ahead. If you spot a pothole or a rough section early enough, you can adjust your line or ease off the throttle before you reach it. This becomes especially important during high-speed chases, where one bad bump can be enough to completely ruin your run. Sometimes the fastest route isn't the smoothest one. I've talked about the camera before, but this is where it becomes really useful. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll probably notice that 9 times out of 10 I point the camera towards an upcoming turn long before I actually reach it. It gives me a much better view of what's around the corner and helps me judge the turn before I commit to it. Instead of waiting for the car to turn and letting the camera follow, I let the camera lead the car. It takes some getting used to, but once it becomes a habit, taking corners feels much more natural. So don't be afraid to play around with the camera while driving and see what works for you. The handbrake in GTA 4 is useful for a lot more than simply throwing the car into a turn. GTA 4 doesn't have manual shifting, but you can still influence when the car changes gear. Sometimes a quick tap of the handbrake is all you need to slightly change the direction of the car. Tapping or holding the handbrake can also force the transmission to downshift. Other times, I'll hold the handbrake while keeping the throttle down. This allows the engine to build up revs before I release the handbrake, giving the car enough power to carry it drift through a turn. This next one probably will make you a better getaway driver, but it's a fun little trick to know. Doing a burnout is easy. You stand still, hold L2 and R2 at the same time, and the wheels start spinning. But some cars actually allow you to keep a burnout going while driving at a certain speed. To do this, start by accelerating hard enough to get the wheel spinning and let the car pick up some speed. Then, while still holding R2, press and hold L2 as well. If you time it right, the car will maintain some of the forward momentum while keeping the wheel spinning, allowing you to carry the burnout down the road. It might take a few attempts to get the timing right, and it works better with some cars than others. Bikes in GTA 4 are a completely different story. There's far less room for error when you've only got 2 wheels underneath you. They can feel extremely sensitive at first, and small mistakes that won't matter in a car can easily send you flying off the bike. One of the biggest things I've learned is to keep your movement smooth. Try not to make sudden steering corrections, especially at higher speeds. Give yourself some extra room when approaching corners, and don't be afraid to ease off the throttle before turning. I've spent hundreds of hours riding bikes in GTA 4, and even I still struggle sometimes to fully control the Energy 900. It may be one of the fastest bikes in the game, but it also feels like one of the heaviest. That's why my personal favorite has always been the PCJ 600. It's light, very responsive, and it's incredibly easy to throw around. It's also great for doing wheelies and stoppies. So if you've always struggled with bikes in GTA 4 and want to give them another chance, I'd recommend starting with the PCJ 600. It's not the fastest bike in Liberty City, but sometimes the fastest bike isn't the one who'll be the fastest on. For the final tip, I'd simply encourage you to challenge yourself. Don't always stick to the main roads. Liberty City is full of narrow alleys, sidewalks, and other places you normally wouldn't think of driving through. Try taking a car or a bike through some of these tighter spaces and see how quickly you can get through without hitting anything. Narrow alleys in particular are a great way to test your precision and reaction time because there's much less room for mistakes. And I'm not suggesting you to use the sidewalk to run over every pedestrian in Liberty City. Try to avoid them. The more comfortable you become controlling a vehicle in tighter, unpredictable spaces, the easier it becomes to stay in control when things get chaotic during an actual chase. So explore the city, experiment with different routes, and challenge yourself. And that's it. 12 things I've picked up after spending countless of hours behind the wheel in Liberty City. I'm not saying that this is the right way to drive in GTA 4, these are simply things I've learned over the years and techniques that work for me. Hopefully there's at least one thing in this video that you didn't know before or something that you'd like to try for yourself. And if you have any driving techniques or little tricks of your own, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you'd like to see more of this kind of driving in action, you can check out my GTA 4 Driving Sucks videos. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next run.